Today, I'm going to run around the entirety of the Great Plateau in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but for every step I take in-game, I'm taking a step in real life, and I'm going to try and find out the real-life distance you'd travel. The setup is simple. I'll play Breath of the Wild with a set of Joy-Cons and run on the spot, Ring Fit Adventure style, in order to mimic real running, but also be able to make adjustments to my speed on the fly owing to the small stamina bar that Link has. I've got my Fitbit Charge 4 on, which will help measure the distance run, I've got a sensational pair of Zelda socks on, and we are good to go. Now you may be wondering how I'm doing this. So I'm starting at the Shrine of Remembrance and I'm running out towards the border of the Great Plateau and then going around the actual border like I've mapped out here. I decided to go anti-clockwise and I don't quite remember why I decided to do that, but it actually worked out to be a big advantage near the end. Now, let's go. We're going to keep this nice and easy because when we come to run, I'm going to bring those knees up. Right up, there we go. Looking at the map, you only see it as one flat area, so I immediately encountered something that I hadn't considered. There are several different levels of elevation, different surfaces and such, and to go straight north, I'd have to literally run off a cliff. I'm gonna jump, but then I'm gonna let myself just kind of fall, like glide fall, so I can land softly, so I don't like die a lot. It's gonna take a little bit of time, I don't really have to move any further distance, and then I can get right onto it. So let's run to the edge and we are going to go anti-clockwise. Nice, so we are at the edge of the Great Plateau now and we are going to go this way. Well, let's go. I'm trying really hard to match my feet and I wasn't paying attention, I've just used some of my extra stamina wheel. The next obstacle, of course, is the opposite of the problem which I just solved, the sheer facing cliffs. You can tell I haven't really planned this out. Now I need to have a look because I want to go right around, so that's going to involve me climbing. Okay, I guess I have to do this. It's raining anyway. I will have to run around this wall because I can't climb it, but it's essentially taking us a similar route. So yeah, mimicking Link's climbing movement is really weird, but on the spot there's not much more I could think of. This is me climbing, by the way. I could have used Revali's Gale in some scenarios, but I figured I'd stick with one general rule and do the same movement each time. I tried to get a similar range of motion, but it looks so weird watching it back. Oh, that's not good. Now I haven't really planned for combat. I'm gonna have to do something. Okay, so we're gonna creep. I honestly hadn't even thought about creeping beforehand, but this is essentially just keeping my legs lower down so my hips and my knees are at more of an angle and just moving my legs similar to how Link was. It was a little more intense on my quads, but it definitely worked out. I've got no issues with it. Oh, sugar. Okay, cool. We're gonna run. I decided that I would avoid combat unless completely necessary, as Link is able to outrun pretty much every enemy on the plateau. Ooh, an ancient shark. It is pretty easy to outrun most enemies that appear suddenly, like the Choo-Choos and skeletons, even when sticking to the path that I had created. Oh, get your stamina back and sprint. Sprint. I finally got to safety, but there was a slight issue. I've made a small error. Okay, so we need to get around here. Now we're likely to have to like climb around to get to that. Okay, because we still want to do all of that. At least it's not raining now. This means that I can actually get this done. I'm definitely finding the adjustment between sprinting and jogging better. Exercise-wise, jogging is great for you, of course. It's a good cardiovascular aerobic workout that uses the full body effectively. You're swinging your arms, hips and shoulder girdle in an opposing manner to the hips for balance, speed and power. Now running on the spot isn't quite the same, not the same range of movement in the legs and no need to propel myself forward. It doesn't carry the same impact on the legs and will burn a different amount of calories therefore. However, running on the spot is an efficient and effective home workout that uses the muscles in a similar way, albeit more focus is on the hip flexors and less on the glutes, and it does mimic the cardiovascular response to normal running well, so it's absolutely an effective way to replicate the movement in-game for what I can do and what space I've got right now, and I'm definitely feeling a bit of the cardiovascular effort around the halfway point. Ooh, dragon! Nice! You majestic son of a bitch. Look at you go. Oh, I should make a note of that because I haven't actually. I need to farm items for that for armor. All right, and I need to go down there because otherwise I'm going to go around. Sail away, sail away.
One of the great things about this run is that the devs for Breath of the Wild absolutely nailed the environment, and having plenty of lush scenery and incredible views to look at on screen really distracted me from the physical movement that I was making.
It's the most intense concentration I've done all day. Ta-da! This isn't too hard, it's more just finding ways to move around in the specific places, do you know what I mean? Like, as far as like climbing goes, I need a decent movement for that. Oh, the dragon's back. So I just feel like an idiot doing this, but also this is kind of mimicking the movement he's doing as best as possible. At which point should I be doing like a paraglide thing when I glide? I'm not sure. Right, we're going to try and avoid enemies. I'm going to sneak. We're going to sneak. Oh, there's a silver one there as well. And I feel like that silver one is going to be a massive pain in the butt. So I'm not about that kind of life. Let me sprint. I think we can get away now. And we're closing in on the end of this challenge, which is good. Although now, I'm pretty sure there's a guardian around here somewhere. And I know that lots of people can parry. Well, I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I never have been. Oh. Do I sprint? This is like the fight. This is why we did. This is why we went anti-clockwise, isn't it? So that we have this at the end. I'm gonna make a break for it. Yep. Yes! So I am finding this is like eliciting a similar cardio response to my normal runs, and that's not bad. Like, it's pretty good. Although I am noticing like a little bit more fatigue on my quads and my calves than I normally would. I feel like there should be enemies here. Look, it's been a little while since I played this. Maybe I cleared these guys out the last time I played. Like, it's very possible. This is about where I came to, isn't it? Oh, yes. Yes. Alright, so we are aiming right back there. We're on the home stretch. Hopefully there's no enemies around and we can just get home.
Luckily there were no enemies, and aside from getting slightly lost at one point, it is just a straight sprint back to the start, followed by a big old climb to the top of the cliff we leapt off earlier.
That's it. This is the starting area, isn't it? Hey! And it's just a minor break for the Shrine of Remembrance and we are done. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how you run around the Great Plateau. Fantastic. Right, back to the starting point. Mate, I'm a bit tired as well. Look at that. Fantastic stuff.
So how did the challenge go? Running around the Great Plateau was a whole bunch of fun and a really interesting fitness challenge to try. It doesn't take up much physical space, and importantly it elicited a similar cardiovascular response to standard running, despite using different muscles that I mentioned earlier. It was pretty distracting as well, so I didn't notice too much in the way of exhaustion or pain or anything, aside from some slight irritation to my Achilles tendons, probably from my running technique, which I will work on in my own time. There's definitely stuff that I could improve on for this sort of run. Finding some inexpensive way to get a better stride length for the runs would be great, as with getting a proper climbing movement with some resistance. Looking at the statistics I got, my Fitbit estimated that I ran 2.73 kilometers and that the total time was just over 30 minutes. Fitbits aren't the most accurate when it comes to steps, and the sway of my arms combined with the climbing action could well have skewed this to below the intended distance. In future, I will look into other pedometers to work alongside the Fitbit in order to create a better estimate, but I think that this would technically be closer to 3 to 3.2 kilometers.
As far as calories go, look, Fitbit Charge 4s are terrible for their actual calorie counters. But yeah, this one is estimating that I burnt like 400 calories. I don't think that's right at all. Not for a 2.5 kilometer run. 100 calories to a kilometer is vaguely accurate, so I would say it's more along the 250 calorie mark that you would do if you were doing a full range of motion. Obviously, because that was a half range of motion or slower range, it does make it a little bit more difficult. So if you want to take on this challenge, get yourself a pedometer, see how far you go. It'd be really interesting to get like a few different averages and see what the actual distance would be. But yeah, I'm getting around 2.5 kilometers, which is really cool. So that is running around the Great Plateau in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Takes roughly 2.5 kilometers. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to my patrons like Rain for the wonderful support they give through Patreon. Really appreciate that. I'm Master Trainer Peter, and I'm going to see you for the next exercise challenge.